And the fear that would come up inside of me is, oh my God, my parents are going to split up. My whole family structure, my whole idea of what I think this reality is, of like I have this father and a mother and they're here to bring me up, and I have a sister and we're all going to be together and we're all going to live happily ever after and everything's fine, and all of a sudden everyone's arguing and screaming and it sounds scary and violent, and I don't know what's going on, and I can't quite understand because I'm just a 3-year-old kid. And because I didn't want to feel all of that, I blocked myself from feeling the truth. Because I blocked the truth, I blocked myself from being present. I blocked myself from trusting what it was that I was feeling. I didn't allow myself to feel what I was feeling because I was too afraid that it was coming true. So this is where, when I push away certain feelings, when I don't allow myself to feel everything that's here, how am I ever going to arrive at what the way of trust is? I can't. The way of trust, it's the 10th way of oneness, and I've had a lot of trouble over the past, I've been doing this work now for nearly 5 years, of learning how to actually activate the way of trust, because I have a lot of wounding, or I had a lot of wounding around not trusting myself. Now, I already mentioned this on the way of presence, way of oneness number 5. And I'm going to go a little deeper into the story and maybe come out from a little bit of a different angle and go into today where I was really working with this particular way of trust. And the reason why I lacked so much trust throughout my life wasn't because I wasn't a untrustworthy person. And that's not to say I've done untrustworthy things in my life. I recognize that. But it was, I couldn't trust myself, well, for a few reasons. One, I would show up really irresponsibly. So it wasn't necessarily trust that I ultimately lacked. It was responsibility. And the more that I've learned that I show up responsible for myself, then that opens the door to be like, oh yeah, of course I can trust me. I've just got to be willing to take responsibility. That's just the first way of oneness. All I have to do is work on actually, this is where my focus has been, becoming more responsible. And as I show up for myself, as I show up more on social media, as I show up as the way of responsibility, I actually build and create trust for myself because I'm becoming reliable. I'm holding myself accountable. I'm going to show up trustworthy. Like I had this one friend that we always used to plan to go do things, and I couldn't ever trust that he was going to be there, or especially if he was going to be there on time. Why? Because he lacked responsibility. He also lacked the honouring of another being's time, but he wasn't a responsible person. And because he wasn't responsible, he wasn't trustworthy in that sense. Now, isn't to say he's the, this particular friend I had is the kind of person that would go out and do something like really like unloyal or like betrayal or anything like that. But I couldn't trust him with a lot of things because I knew that what the plans, the arrangements that we had made, they weren't a priority to him, or he just wouldn't show up on time, responsible. So, and I see this a lot with inside my own self of like, when I don't show up as just that first way of oneness, as the way of responsibility, I cannot open the door to be trustworthy, because if I'm not holding myself accountable and I'm not showing up doing whatever it is that I need to do on a daily basis, if I'm not guiding myself on how to be a divinely mature, responsible adult in my everyday life, then how am I going to trust myself when things get challenging, when times get rough, when certain challenges and struggles or life circumstances come my way? Can I trust myself to move through the really challenging times when I'm not even showing up responsibly on the day-to-day basis, right? And this is what it will come down to. And when I reflect back on it, it's like, no wonder I lacked so much self-trust, because I'm here, and then I'm gone, right? I'm all in, and this is, now we're starting to get into how we've been programmed in duality, where it's all or nothing. Like, look up duality consciousness. Rachel's got so many teachings about it. Duality consciousness is where we have been brainwashed to live, which is it's either this or it's either that. It's either Republican or it's Democrat. It's either left or it's right. It's me versus you. It's us versus them. That's duality. So we live in that place, we're easily mind controlled and brainwashed because we were automatically conditioned to fall into one of the sides and make the other side the enemy, make the other side the other, right? This is why, world wars always have two sides. Chess, black and white, it's black or white. This is duality consciousness. This is not at all anything close to oneness consciousness. When we evolve to what Rachel is teaching, the 20 Universal Ways of Oneness, which we're obviously talking about today, right? We're talking about the way of trust. When we're doing the work to become these ways, we're actually learning how to dissolve duality. We're learning how to dissolve that lower level of consciousness. So we don't ping pong from left to right, right? If I'm all in, this is what my programming was. I used to say, Danny Morley, no half measures, right? If I'm all in or all out, that means I'm not consistent. Yesterday, we were talking about the way of equality. How do I find internal balance? Well, if I'm either all in or all out, well, 1 minute I'm there and 1 minute I'm completely gone. So how can I trust that part of me, or how can I trust the inner me when I'm in 1 minute I'm all the way there and then the next minute I'm nowhere to be found? So this is how, on the micro level, right, when this is how we're brainwashed and this is how we're conditioned, and then this is how we're led to believe that this is the way that we show up in the world, it's either all or it's nothing, it starts to create this lack of consistency and these threads of mistrust within our own selves. And this carried out throughout all of my life. I have not been able to stick at things consistently. And I used to try and do breath work and meditation. I would wake up when I was really struggling with depression. Every morning, I would wake up, I would take my cold shower first thing in the morning. I would then do my 15 minutes of breath work. I would then go for a run. I would come back, I would meditate. I would do like 5 kilometer run, come back, I would meditate for 30 minutes, and then I would journal for 30 minutes. All in all, my morning routine took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours normally, right? And then because I would do that, and I'd be all in, and then something would crack or something would break, and I was so in, and then I would be like, oh, I don't have time today, or I'd throw it all in the trash. And then what happened, I would fall off. And then my mental health would start to spiral because I wasn't actually transforming anything. I was learning how to just cope with it and push it to the side and get the cold shower endorphin rush, right? Get the hit of dopamine or serotonin or whatever it releases. And then same thing with the breath work, same thing with running. And then all my trauma would start to come up and I'd have to do all that process again just to get rid of it, right? I didn't know how to actually transform energy. I didn't know how to heal for real until I found this work. And I learned the art of inner energetic alchemy, how to go in energetically, awaken to the vibrational frequencies that are flowing through me, that are causing me to show up in duality, that are causing me to show up irresponsible, that are causing me to show up unreliable, and actually learn how to infuse the light that I am. And in this case, it would be activate the way of trust. How do I actually do that in real time? And one of the ways that I lacked so much trust and how this developed as well is when I was a kid, I used to hear my parents fighting and arguing, like, getting a fight, like, not like physically fighting, but screaming, shouting matches. And I remember I would ask my mom, is everything okay? And I could tell that everything wasn't okay. I could tell that there was tension and conflict. I could tell that there was arguments going on. I could feel their energy. But every time I asked, I could tell that she was lying. That she was like, everything's fine. And what I started to learn at that young age is that what I feel from them is wrong, because I'm feeling that everything isn't okay. And the fear that will come up inside of me is, oh my God, my parents are going to split up. My whole family structure, my whole idea of what I think this reality is, of like I have this father and a mother, and they're here to bring me up, and I have a sister, and we're all going to be together, and we're all going to live happily ever after, and everything's fine, and all of a sudden everyone's arguing and screaming, and it sounds scary and violent, and I don't know what's going on, and I can't quite understand because I'm just a 3-year-old kid. I'm just 2 years old, but I can feel and sense the energy, and the energy isn't right. But then when I ask my family about it as a child, I'm told everything's fine. Of course they're going to say that. Of course they're not going to sit down and divulge the inner workings of the relationship to the 3-year-old son. Of course that's not what's going to happen. They're not going to sit down in like a beautiful controlled therapy session after this argument that my parents had, and sit down and explain everything on a really high level of exactly what's going on, right? And what they're doing to heal and elevate and alchemize all of the ways that they've been having conflicts, because that's what divine enlightened couples would do. They would do the work to not have those outbursts and those arguments. And that wasn't happening. It wasn't. I wasn't receiving that guidance, of course, right? So what that started to develop is I can't trust what I feel. And for many years I would tell myself this. So I'd be like, I can't trust what it is that I'm feeling. And then this year, 2026, I realized it's not that I can't trust what I'm feeling. It's that I lacked the power to feel the scariness and the depth, the survival energy that was actually in there, that what I'm feeling is real, that what I'm feeling is the truth, that what I'm feeling is accurate. And then to put a nail in the coffin, what really messed me up is that I would have this fear that my family were going to separate, and I wasn't going to be okay. And then later down the road, that very thing happened, that my family broke apart. My parents split up, and my mum remarried. And I primarily then grew up with my father. And that fear that, oh my God, this is going to happen and it's going to be terrible and awful, not only was that created when I was a younger version of me, it then was affirmed that my deepest fear is going to come true. So that caused more fear and resistance of actually going in and actually feeling, oh my God, this might happen. I can't trust what it is that I'm feeling. When I reflect back on it now, that was exactly what I was feeling was going to happen. And that's exactly what did happen. The irony, right? And I'm sat here telling myself I can't trust what I feel when I almost basically, through fear, predicted everything that was going to happen. But at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, right? I couldn't wrap my head around that. Why? Because there was so much fear, there was so much powerlessness, there was so much neediness, there was so much codependency, there was so much wanting of mom and dad at that young age that I couldn't comprehend a deeper teaching like that. I couldn't comprehend that I was going to be okay, because all it felt like is that I wasn't. That I was going to be heartbroken, that I was going to be alone, that no one's going to be there to take care of me, and everything that I knew and thought was good and here to love me and help me as my family unit is going to break apart, and I'm going to be left here alone. Right? And that was really a lot for this younger version of me to take on. And ultimately, what I've learned about what this enlightened frequency of the way of trust is, it's not about just saying, oh, well, I'm just going to trust everything. I'm going to trust that everything is going to be okay. It's not that. It's that when things aren't okay, I trust that I'm going to heal myself and love myself through it. The way of trust, I've learned, is not about trusting that things are going to be perfect. It's not about having faith that everything is going to work out. It's about trusting that no matter what happens, I am going to heal. My divinity is here. I'm going to heal what comes up. I'm going to heal the byproduct of this thing. I'm going to learn how to become more wise. I'm going to learn more about what it was that I was feeling. I'm going to learn more about how to heal and elevate through this particular life challenge. I'm going to learn how to be more wise and make better decisions through this experience. And when I can tap into that frequency, it opens the door for things not to be perfect, right? And this comes up today really beautifully, because my girlfriend and I, we have 2 cars between the two of us. 3 dogs, 2 cars. One of them, over the last year, has completely tanked out, completely died. We needed to get a new one. And I got an e-bike, and I've been trying to figure out what to do. And I've been using this as an experiment to play with my spirit guides and my own soul to guide me into what vehicle should we get next? What makes sense, right? What's fuel efficient? These are the things that are important. Well, what's important to me? Fuel efficiency, reliability is number one. I would like it to be nice inside, I'd like... Anyway, so today I actually purchased a car, and it's a lot more money than I've ever spent on a car. And that scared the living Jesus out of me. I've been very scared about making this level of purchase. It's been pretty exciting all up until the point that I found a car that I really liked, and it got real. And the thought for me of being tied into a contract, I've always just paid full cash for cars up until this point in my life. I've always just bought them outright. I've never actually got a car loan, an auto loan, or financed or done anything like that. But because of my financial situation, it felt like it was the right time to get some kind of auto loan with like a low interest APR. So I did that, and it's scary. It's been very scary for me. But when I alchemize the fear and I drop in and I feel, well, what's here, right? And this is where I explain this. It wasn't that I lacked trust, it's that I lacked presence. I lacked presence to feel what was happening and what might have happened when my family was starting to split up. There was fear there that I wasn't going to be okay. There was survival energy there. I could feel that they weren't being fully truthful and transparent because they were protecting me, right? Obviously. I could feel all of that. And because I didn't want to feel all of that, I blocked myself from feeling the truth. Because I blocked the truth, I blocked myself from being present. I blocked myself from trusting what it was that I was feeling. I didn't allow myself to feel what I was feeling because I was too afraid that it was coming true. So this is where, when I push away certain feelings, when I don't allow myself to feel everything that's here, how am I ever going to arrive at what the way of trust is? I can't. And that's obviously why they're in an order for a divine reason. Trust is way higher than surrender, right? I've got to be surrendered to what I'm feeling. Truth, I've got to be truthful about what's here. And presence, the detached observer of everything, where I can receive what's actually here. So if I'm not living in the present moment, I'm not connected to myself, there's no way I'm going to be able to trust what it is that I'm supposed to do in this moment. So this whole journey with me getting a car, and it's funny, the e-bike, I could feel, I went ahead and bought that. And I could kind of feel that I wasn't really being guided to do that, but I did it anyway because it felt like a logically smart move. Now, who knows if I was or wasn't? I'm not 100% sure yet, but I can say that it wasn't like I don't feel like I was being guided to do that. Now, I'm not sure because I'm still learning these things. I'm learning what these ways of oneness are. That's why, obviously, Rachel is the teacher of this. She is the master. So if you are listening to this and you want to learn more, go buy the book, enroll as a student, so you can start to learn and integrate what these ways of oneness are too. I'm just here to share my experience as a student, as a coach of this work. So I've been using this whole car situation, and I bought one today to kind of be an experiment, and the experiment is going great. It's fun because I don't know if I'm right, but when I saw this car, I felt something. It felt good. It kind of ticked all of the boxes, and it lit me up. And then when I started to look at the numbers and the reality of the situation, that I was going to be locked into a contract where I have to pay every month, which means I have to show up responsibly. I have to maintain a job for the next X amount of years in order to pay off this car. And that, to me, to that irresponsible part of me, this full circle back to where I started, to that irresponsible part of me, that's very scary, because now I have to show up. I have to maintain a job. I have to do all of these things. I have to make sure my income is there. And that opens the door to it did open the door for me to trigger a bunch of fear and survival program. Oh my God, what if I don't have enough money in the month to pay for the bill? Because it's going to be there every month. I'm not used to paying this. I mean, the reality is I've been paying rent since I was freaking 18. Like, I moved out of home and I've been paying rent since then. I've never owned a home. And even if I did own a home, it would be paying a mortgage, right? But for whatever reason, I think it was because the fact this term is for like 5 years, it's locked in, a low APR. I'm locked in for the next 5 years to be putting money into buying this car. Super scary for this part of me, for this irresponsible part of me. And then the fear comes up, what if I'm not being guided? How can I trust what it is that I'm feeling? So the work has been allow that fear to come up, heal it. And every time I do, I anchor more into my heart, and it just feels like the doorway is open. I'm free to do this if I want. And it's not that I'm trusting that. I'm not trusting that. I'm learning what it feels like to make these decisions. And then if it's wrong and it unfolds that this wasn't the right path, or I learn that later down the road, okay, now I know that that's not an energy what I felt there, that isn't something I can trust. But that trust, it isn't something that comes outside of me. It's anchored within me. That even if, and this is what it comes down to, I trust that even if this is the wrong choice, I will learn and it will be okay. I trust that even if I am running a program right now, and that maybe this isn't for my highest path, I trust that I will learn the lesson that I needed to learn that caused me to make these decisions which put me in this place. That, as far as I've understood, is what actually getting to the way of trust is. And I'm excited. Well, first off, I absolutely love this car. It's so cute. It feels super responsible. It's so nice. But I'm excited to allow this whole process to unfold for me to gain this wisdom and learn really where is the guidance, because it's not as like black and white as you might think. And I did go to look at other cars, and I'd tap in and I'd be like, no. And I trust that. I can hear it. I can hear the no. I know when it's a no. I can feel the no a lot easier. The yes is sometimes a little harder for me. Hard to understand. And what I am working with is when it has been a yes in the past, everything just seems to open and flow. It's like, instead of it being amber, red light, it's like all of a sudden you're on a street and everything turns green. And it's just, okay, let's just move forward. Let's move forward. We don't need to rush to the end. Let's just move forward. This is it. Okay, this is the way. And as far as I've experienced and understood, this is what I feel like trust is. The way of trust is like, it's very open, but it's also very assured and anchored. At least what I feel. But I would love to know what you feel. I would love to know if you've worked with this way, what you experience. Please comment below and let me know, because I'm just a student here. I'm just trying to learn this. And I really, really, really want to learn more. I want to learn more on how to activate these ways more and how to become them more. And I'm just excited to have a new car and be able to not constantly bother my girlfriend on what her schedule is and what mine is. It does feel really good. It doesn't mean that there isn't some fear, some sticker shock that comes up. And all because I know this work, the beauty is all I do is alchemize it. And it reminds me of the first time that I signed up to do any kind of work at MSU. It was actually around about the same amount of money. And I knew that I needed to do this thing. I knew I needed to do it. And 5 years later, I can 100% say I was a million times guided to enroll at MSU. And so I look forward to maybe in 5 years' time reflecting on this day and knowing, was I vibrating as the way of trust? Was I connected and being guided? I guess I'll know in 5 years' time. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the way of honoring.